the biggest peace deal in decades signed yesterday. And their chyron is Trump has White House event. Doesn't even mention the deal with little social distancing. It was an enormous breakthrough for Middle East peace at the White House yesterday. You may not have heard about it, of course, because Trump's in office. Of course, if it was Obama, this would be plastered on the front page of every newspaper in America for the next 5 months, talking about bold leadership, outside the box thinking. Genius Obama, who nearly destroyed the Middle East by delivering pallets of cash to the Death to America crowd. Remember that? Think about how ridiculous this is. Biden's Middle East peace efforts were led by cash pallets being given to a crowd chanting Death to America. Weird, right? Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Peace, Death to America. They're not going to really fit. So President Trump has said, we're going to try something a little different. Wall Street Journal covered it today. Folks, there was a peace deal yesterday between Israel, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates, and normalization of relations, which is the first deal we've had since 1994 between Israel and Jordan. So it's only been decades since a peace deal in the Middle East, but you probably haven't heard anything about it because, again, Trump was in charge. Wall Street Journal, the art of a Mideast deal. Trump was willing to break with failed conventional wisdom. What are they talking about? You know, folks, I've told you for a while now that one of the perceived downsides of the Trump administration, just being candid, by many, not by me, but by others, is this cavalier way of operating. The tweets, attacks, thinking outside the box, firing people when they don't do the job. They're like, that's not presidential. Listen, what's presidential? What you think is, you know what I think is presidential, Joe? Shocker, results. That's what's presidential to me. Yeah. Okay? I'll stick with the result. You can stick with the whole dog and pony show, which I've seen from the inside. It's all crap. These guys behind the scenes are all the same. Oh my gosh, Obama? He's just a dude, guys. I'm sorry. He's just a guy who does guy stuff like everyone else. They're not magic behind the scenes. They don't have, they don't respond to kryptonite. It's not Superman. They're just men. We haven't had a woman president. They're just men. They're just men. Women politicians behind the scene are no different. So you can play your dog and pony show. I want results. A Mideast peace deal, the first one since 1994, when Israel normalized relations with Jordan, and we had one with Egypt before. This would be a huge deal, but it's not. Why? Because Trump did it completely differently. The same foreign policy geniuses that told us the collusion hoax was real. Remember that, Joe? These same think tankers. Joe, they produce white papers. Huge donations. The Brookings Institution, all these people, huge donations. They have endowments that blow your mind. Big to produce white papers. Big donate white papers this thick. Here's the roadmap to Middle East peace. Trump came in office. He took the roadmap. He was like, thanks. Sorry, Luce. Scared the dog a little bit. Threw the rope, throw him out and said, nah. You know what? Because you know what the white paper said? They said there are two things you definitely can't do. First, you can't move your embassy to Jerusalem, the U.S. embassy. It was in Tel Aviv. You can't do that. There'll be a war in the Middle East. The Arab world will be fuming, Joe. Nuclear bombs going off everywhere. There'll be smoke in the skies, ash forever. It'll be over. Scary, right? So I actually spoke to President Trump about this at Mar-a-Lago.
Uh-huh.
And if I remember the conversation, he's like, yeah, we just decided to do things differently. We're like, yeah, we're just going to do that. Because that is the capital of Israel. So we're going to move our embassy to the capital, Jerusalem, where the population centers are. We're going to do that. Joe, just checking again, I know you did some excellent fact checking earlier in the show, where you said there wasn't a constitutional amendment that threw out the Electoral College. Thank you, because I was confused. Yeah. Did I miss, just in the last few months, the major war in the Middle East, few years, I should say, after we moved the embassy to Jerusalem? Did I miss that? Just again.
I'm trying to think if I missed it, but no, you didn't miss it. I don't think neither.
Yeah. No, we didn't miss it. Armacost is right again. Fact check number 2. Unlike Facebook fact checkers, Joe actually gets his fact checks right. There hasn't been a war in the Middle East.
Wow.
After he moved the embassy. So he took the white paper again. right in the garbage with that white paper. I love Duke's stuff. Duke's making a lot of appearances in the show. But he threw it in the garbage and said, we're just going to do that anyway. So that was rule number 1 he broke. Rule number 2 was you definitely aren't going to get any Middle East normalization or peace deals until the Palestinian issue is settled and they have their own homeland. Trump was like, really? Because the Palestinians don't seem to want much of a homeland, given that every offer we've made them for the past 7,000 years hasn't really worked out very well. Remember Abba Eban when he said the Palestinians never miss an opportunity at peace? The most accurate quote ever in the history of humankind, by the way. So Trump was like, if the Palestinians don't want to make peace, then we'll just make peace around them. You can't do that. White paper, millions of dollars went into this. Joe, the paper had tabs. You know tabs? It had tabs on it. Step 1, good. Step 2. You didn't read the tabs, Mr. President. There's tabs. We paid. Come on. Tab 6. You can't do that. Trump was like, no, we're just going to move the embassy and we're just going to go around to Palestinians. Turns out he can do that. Because the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain are like, hey, we're really tired of this constant friction. We're just going to normalize relationships. What about the Palestinians? Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll figure it out. So now what's happening? Well, it looks likely other countries in the Arab world are going to jump on board to this peace deal, and the Palestinians are going to be left all alone if they don't come to the table and agree to peace. Tab 7, you can't do that. He just did. Again, it was a huge deal, progress towards Middle East peace and all. They were only talking about Middle East peace, Joe, when I was, at the Miss America contest when I was like 4. Remember that was like a joke? They'd ask the Miss America contest, right? It was a running joke. What do you want to see in 10 years? Middle East peace. That was always, it became a joke because nobody thought it would get, it happened. Yeah. Well, it's not a joke. It actually happened, part of it. Not the whole thing. I don't want to be Pollyanna-ish. But we just had a big step. Middle East peace, Trump. So CNN clearly covered this momentous occasion, right? No, so they get Jared Kushner on, Trump's son-in-law, who had marshaled this deal. Remember when they laughed at him? What does dopey Jared Kushner know about Middle East peace? It turns out a whole lot more than you think, tankers. Tab 8, don't appoint Jared Kushner. He doesn't know what he's doing. Tab 8, white paper. So Jared, of course, throws the white paper out and actually gets done what the white paper, tab 9, don't throw out the white paper, gets done what the white paper crowd couldn't. So you think Wolf Blitzer scores a huge interview with Jared yesterday after he marshals this Middle East peace plan. Huge story, right? So what question would you ask? How'd you guys do this? This seemed intractable. The embassy did move, going around the Palestinians. I thought the Palestinians, clearly those are the questions you'd ask, right? Not Wolf Blitzer, who I used to think was a decent guy, who's now just, as most journalists in the Trump era, has totally lost his mind and forfeited any sense of self-respectability. Here's what Wolf Blitzer finds concerning when he has Jared Kushner after this momentous peace deal. Listen to this ridiculousness.
It's still very worrisome to see all those folks so close together, even if they're outside, not wearing masks and those social distancing.
I will say, Wolf, I didn't hear you and CNN being that worried when you saw people out there, doing protests in different ways. So.
Good for Jared for taking that. The old wazoo we talk about? I don't know where the wazoo is, but sometimes you got to take something and jam it up the wazoo. One of these days we'll figure out what the wazoo is. Jared's like, we're going to take that right up the wazooski. Wolf Blitzer, Joe, is not concerned at all about how they got there, the Middle East peace deal. Wolf's concerned about mask wearing on the South Lawn for the ceremony. The same Wolf and CNN who gave very little attention to the mass protests where people were probably breathing all over each other because that met their political goals, right?
Yeah.
That's a serious question. Not only that, you want to see a Chiron on CNN? This is a real Chiron. This is not from the Babylon Bee. Here was what CNN had Chiron during this historic Middle East peace deal. What does it say? Momentous Middle East peace deal? No, sorry, Paula, wrong picture. Here's CNN's actual Chiron. Trump holds White House event with large crowd and little social distancing. Remember that commercial? This is CNN. Trump broke CNN. Is this? Did he not, Joe? Did he not break them?
He's
Please,
driving him
CNN,
nuts.
just really. I get it. Just do your thing. I don't care. I never, ever watch that channel, ever. If I want comic relief, I'll turn on MSDNC. CNN is an embarrassment to humankind. Just forfeit the news label and everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. Call yourselves whatever, the coronavirus channel, the outdoor channel, the we want masks channel, liberal propaganda channel, whatever you want. The open societies channel. I don't care. Defeat Disinfo channel. Just stop calling yourself a news organization. The biggest peace deal in decades signed yesterday. And their chyron is Trump has White House event. Doesn't even mention the deal with little social distancing.
You just heard Dan Bongino.